What would you do if you walked into a place where dreams are sold, only to be told you don't belong? Picture this. A woman in a faded hoodie and worn sneakers steps into a dazzling car showroom, her eyes set on a sleek million-dollar ride. The salesman smirks, his eyes raking over her casual clothes, and with a wave of his hand, he dismisses her like she's lost. "These cars aren't for you," he scoffs, pointing to the exit as whispers ripple through the crowd. Her cheeks burn, but she leaves in silence. The next morning, a custom Lamborghini Aventador purrs to a stop outside the dealership, and when the door swings open, the salesman's smug grin vanishes. This is the story of Elena Harper, a 38-year-old woman whose unassuming appearance hides a legacy of grit and triumph. The gleaming Dallas Elite Motors, with its towering glass walls and rows of exotic cars, Bugatti, McLaren, Rolls-Royce, caters to the city's elite, where wealth is worn like a badge. Elena, with her messy bun and no-frills style, walks in with a purpose: to buy a fire-red hypercar for her brother's 50th birthday, a man who's just rebuilt his life after a brutal divorce. But in a world obsessed with appearances, Elena's about to face a battle she's fought before, a battle that will expose prejudice, spark a reckoning, and leave everyone in the showroom questioning what true worth really means. The showroom of Dallas Elite Motors buzzed with the quiet hum of wealth, polished marble floors reflecting the gleam of overhead lights, each car a masterpiece of engineering perched on elevated platforms. Elena Harper, her faded hoodie slightly frayed at the cuffs, moved with purpose through the sea of chrome and curves. At 38, she carried a quiet strength, honed from years of building something extraordinary from nothing. Few would guess she was the mastermind behind the Harper Fund, a nonprofit that had revolutionized mental health support for veterans, raising millions to provide therapy and job training. Her modest appearance was a choice, a way to stay grounded despite the fortune tied to her name through her tech mogul wife, Sophia, and her own savvy investments. Today, Elena's focus was singular: the fire-red hypercar, a $1.2 million beast, perfect for her brother Michael's milestone birthday, a symbol of his resilience. Across the showroom, Marcus Vaughn, the sales manager, adjusted his silk tie and scanned the floor with a predator's eye. In his tailored charcoal suit, he prided himself on reading people instantly: serious buyers from dreamers, high rollers from wannabes. Spotting Elena, her sneakers scuffing softly against the pristine floor, he exchanged a sly glance with his team. "Here we go," he muttered, smirking. This would be quick. A junior salesman, Javier, barely 23 and still nervous in his oversized blazer, started toward Elena with a hesitant smile. "Welcome to Dallas Elite Motors," he began. "Can I help you with—" Marcus cut him off, striding forward with a grin that was all teeth. "I've got this, Javier," he said, his tone dripping with authority. Turning to Elena, his eyes flicked over her hoodie and jeans, lingering on her lack of jewelry. "Lost, ma'am? The budget lot's a few miles down the road." His voice was smooth, but the jab was deliberate, drawing chuckles from a nearby salesman. Elena's expression didn't waver. "Actually," she said calmly, pointing to the hypercar glowing under spotlights, "I'm interested in that one, the red one." Marcus's smile tightened, his patience already thinning. He'd seen this before: gawkers wasting his time, snapping selfies with cars they'd never afford. With a major client due in an hour and monthly quotas looming, he had no room for games. "That's the Inferno X one," he said, his tone patronizing, as if explaining to a child. "One of 7 in the world. Starts at $1.2 million. Perhaps our pre-owned section would suit you better?" He gestured vaguely toward the exit, his eyes already scanning for more serious prospects. Elena tilted her head, unfazed. "I'd like to see the interior," she said politely. "Is it available for a test drive?" Behind Marcus, 2 salesmen stifled laughs, and a well-dressed couple browsing a nearby Bentley paused to watch. Marcus's expression soured. "The Inferno is by reservation only," he lied smoothly, his voice louder now, meant to carry. "Our VIP clients book private sessions. Javier can grab you a brochure." He turned away, dismissing her, and strode toward the couple, his arms wide. Mr. and Mrs. Langley, what a pleasure. Javier shuffled forward, his face flushed with secondhand embarrassment. I'm sorry about that, he whispered to Elena. Would you like me to tell you about the X1 anyway? Elena smiled warmly at him. I'd appreciate that, Javier. Thank you. As Javier rattled off the car's specs, carbon fiber chassis, 1,500 horsepower, she noticed Marcus across the showroom, opening the Inferno's door for Mrs. Langley to admire the leather interior, the same car he'd claimed was reservation only. Her jaw tightened, not from surprise. She'd faced this kind of judgment before, but from a growing resolve. This wasn't just about her. It was about every person who'd ever been sized up and discarded based on how they looked. Quietly, she stepped closer to the car, just within earshot of Marcus's pitch. Excuse me, Elena said, her voice steady but firm. I was hoping to discuss purchasing this model for my brother's birthday next month. Marcus froze mid-sentence, his charm evaporating. He turned, his eyes narrowing. As I said, he snapped, barely hiding his irritation, this car is being shown to actual clients. Why don't you come back another time? Or better yet, check the used lot. The Langleys shifted uncomfortably, sensing the tension. Elena held his gaze. I'm prepared to pay cash today, she said, her tone unshaken. Marcus laughed, a sharp, ugly sound that echoed across the showroom. Heads turned. Cash? Really? His voice rose, performative now, meant to shame. This isn't a flea market, sweetheart. That car costs more than most people's houses. You're out of your league. Javier flinched and a murmur rippled through the onlookers. Elena's cheeks flushed, not with embarrassment, but with a slow-burning anger. For herself, yes, but more for anyone who'd ever been belittled like this. I believe my money spends just fine, she said quietly, her eyes locked on his. Marcus stepped closer, towering over her, his professional mask gone. Let's be real, he hissed, no longer bothering with subtlety. You're wasting my time and making a fool of yourself. People who can afford these cars don't look like... He gestured at her hoodie, his lip curling. Make an appointment if you're serious, which I doubt, or get out. The showroom fell silent, the air thick with discomfort. Even the Langleys stepped back, avoiding eye contact. Javier hovered, his hands clenched, wanting to speak but frozen. Is there an issue here? A new voice cut through the tension. The dealership owner, Victor Grayson, emerged from his office, drawn by the commotion. His tailored suit and silver hair screamed authority, but his quick glance at Elena's appearance told her he'd already picked a side. Marcus straightened, his confidence returning. No issue, sir, he said smoothly. Just clarifying our policies for non-serious inquiries. Victor nodded, his expression cold. Miss, Harper, Elena Harper, she supplied, her voice steady despite the humiliation searing her chest. And I understand your policies perfectly. Marcus smirked, folding his arms. If you're really interested, he added, his tone dripping with condescension, call for an appointment. Bring proof of funds, and maybe dress like you belong. A snicker came from somewhere in the crowd. Elena took in the scene, the judging stares, Marcus's smugness, Victor's silent approval. She'd faced bias before, but this was a masterclass in arrogance. Without another word, she turned and walked toward the glass doors, her head high. As she stepped into the Texas sunlight, the sting of rejection lingered, but a small, determined smile curved her lips. She pulled out her phone and dialed. Back inside, Marcus's voice carried, not quite soft enough. Some people just don't know their place. But Elena Harper was already setting the stage for a lesson Dallas Elite Motors would never forget. The next morning, Dallas Elite Motors gleamed under a cloudless Texas sky, its glass facade reflecting the city's skyline like a mirror of ambition. Inside, Marcus Vaughn moved with his usual swagger, straightening his silk tie as he prepped his team for a high-stakes day. The incident with the hoodie-wearing woman, Elena Harper, had already become a smug anecdote he'd shared over coffee. Another dreamer who thought she could play in their league. Focus on real buyers, he told his staff in the morning huddle, his voice sharp. We don't have time for window shoppers. Javier, the young salesman, kept his eyes down, his discomfort a quiet rebellion against Marcus's arrogance. At exactly 10:03 a.m., A low, primal roar disrupted the showroom's polished calm. Through the towering windows, a vision of raw power rolled into view. A custom Lamborghini Aventador SVJ, its matte black finish absorbing the sunlight like a void, accented with razor-thin gold pinstripes. Conservative estimates pegged its value at over $1.8 million, a one-of-a-kind masterpiece. Conversations froze. Even Marcus, who'd seen his share of exotics, felt his pulse quicken. "That's no standard SVJ," he muttered, already moving toward the entrance. A uniformed chauffeur stepped out, his movements precise as he opened the rear door with gloved hands. From the car emerged a woman of undeniable presence. Sofia Delgado, Elena's wife. At 42, her tailored blazer and sleek trousers whispered wealth, her dark hair pulled back to reveal a gaze that could cut glass. Her arrival was a statement, and the showroom felt it. Marcus's instincts kicked into overdrive. This was a client who could make or break their quarter. "Good morning, madam," he called, intercepting her before anyone else could. "Marcus Vaughn, sales manager. Welcome to Dallas Elite Motors. It's an honor to have you." His smile was all charm, but Sophia's expression remained cool, her eyes scanning the room like a strategist surveying a battlefield. "Sofia Delgado," she said simply, her handshake firm but brief. Marcus's mind raced. The name tugged at a memory, something from a business journal, but he couldn't place it. No matter. The Lamborghini screamed money, and that was enough. "What brings you to our humble showroom, Ms. Delgado?" he asked, gesturing grandly. "Perhaps our latest Pininfarina Battista? Electric, 1,900 horsepower." Sophia raised a hand, cutting him off mid-pitch. "I'm here about the Inferno X1, she said, her voice calm but commanding. "The red one." Marcus's grin widened. "Excellent taste. One of only 7 made, a true collector's piece. Right this way." He led her toward the hypercar, its fire-red curves glowing under the lights. But as they approached, Sophia's demeanor shifted, her gaze hardening. "I understand my wife was interested in this car yesterday," she said, her words deliberate. Marcus faltered, his smile flickering. "Your wife?" he asked, confusion creeping in. Sophia stopped, turning to face him fully. "Elena Harper. She was here in a hoodie and jeans. You told her she didn't belong, suggested she try the used lot." The blood drained from Marcus's face. Behind him, Javier gasped softly, his eyes wide. The showroom's hum faded as heads turned, sensing a shift in the air. Marcus stammered, his usual polish unraveling. I don't recall, ma'am. There must be a misunderstanding. We welcome everyone here." Sophia's eyes narrowed, silencing him. "No misunderstanding, Mr. Vaughn. You dismissed her, lied about the car being reservation only, and humiliated her in front of your staff and customers. All because of how she looked." Victor Grayson, the dealership owner, appeared, drawn by the growing tension. His silver hair and crisp suit exuded authority, but his quick glance at Sophia's Lamborghini told him this was no ordinary complaint. "Ms. Delgado, I'm Victor Grayson, owner. Is there an issue?" Sophia turned to him, her presence filling the room. "The issue, Mr. Grayson, is that your sales manager treated my wife like she was beneath this place. Elena was here to buy the Inferno for her brother, but instead she was insulted and dismissed." Victor's face paled, but he rallied. "I'm deeply sorry for any oversight. I was briefly involved yesterday, but didn't have the full context. We'll make this right." Sophia's smile was thin, unyielding. "Context? Your manager said people like Elena don't belong here. That's not an oversight. That's a culture." Marcus, sweating now, tried to interject. "Ms. Delgado, if there was any confusion, I assure you," Javier, summoning unexpected courage, spoke up. "There was no confusion. Ms. Harper was polite, clear about wanting the Inferno, and Mr. Vaughn shut her down because of her clothes." Marcus shot Javier a venomous look, but the damage was done. Sophia nodded at Javier, a flicker of approval in her eyes. "Thank you for your honesty." She turned back to Victor. "You should know who Elena is. She founded the Harper Fund, a nonprofit that's raised $60 million for veterans' mental health. She chooses to live simply, not because she has to, but because it keeps her connected to the people she serves. That's the woman you judge. The showroom was a tomb, every eye on Marcus and Victor. Marcus looked like he might be sick, his career flashing before his eyes. Victor cleared his throat, desperate to salvage the situation. Ms. Delgado, this doesn't reflect our values. Please let us... Sophia cut him off. Actions speak louder than apologies, Mr. Grayson. I came to buy the Inferno, as Elena intended, but I was also considering a fleet of 9 vehicles for our company's executive team, plus 2 for my personal collection. Now, I'm not so sure this is the right place for that kind of investment. Victor's eyes widened. A deal like that could redefine their year. Marcus's knees seemed to buckle. Sophia continued, her voice steady. There's a way forward, but it's not just about selling cars. She turned to Marcus, her gaze piercing. The Harper Fund is hosting a gala next month to fund veteran reintegration programs. We need volunteers to help with setup, assist attendees, and see the work we do. You'd learn a lot, Mr. Vaughn. Marcus swallowed hard, nodding faintly. Yes, ma'am. I'd be there. Sophia shifted her attention to Victor. Your dealership could benefit from training on bias and customer treatment. I know consultants who can help. Victor nodded eagerly. Absolutely, we'll implement it immediately. Finally, Sophia looked at Javier. You'll handle the paperwork for the Inferno and any future purchases we make here. Your integrity stood out yesterday. Javier's jaw dropped. Me? Thank you, ma'am. I'm honored. As Sophia moved toward Victor's office to finalize details, she paused by the Inferno, running a hand along its sleek frame. Elena has impeccable taste, she said, a quiet pride in her voice. Behind her, Marcus stood frozen, his world upended. He'd built his career on judging books by their covers, but today he'd misread the most important one. The lesson was clear. True worth wasn't in the clothes you wore or the cars you drove. It was in the respect you showed when you thought no one was watching. 1 month later, the grand ballroom of the Dallas Meridian Hotel shimmered with hope and purpose, transformed into the heart of the Harper Fund's annual gala. Chandeliers cast a warm glow over tables adorned with white lilies, while veterans and their families mingled with donors, therapists, and community leaders. Children laughed as they played in a corner set up with adaptive games, their joy a testament to the fund's mission. Near the entrance, Marcus Vaughn, dressed not in his usual tailored suit, but in a simple event staff polo, guided a veteran in a wheelchair toward the seating area. His movements were careful, his demeanor stripped of the arrogance that had once defined him. The past month had reshaped him in ways he hadn't expected. Elena Harper, elegant in a navy dress that was understated yet striking, moved through the crowd with her trademark warmth, stopping to hug a young veteran who just landed a job through the fund's programs. Her messy bun was gone, replaced by loose waves, but her lack of pretense remained. She was still Elena, the woman who valued connection over status. Across the room, Sophia Delgado, radiant in a tailored emerald blazer, caught her wife's eye and smiled, a silent acknowledgement of the journey that had brought them here. The gala wasn't just a fundraiser, it was a celebration of resilience, and tonight it carried an extra layer of meaning. Marcus, pausing to adjust a table setting, spotted Elena approaching. He straightened, a flicker of nervousness in his eyes. The volunteer work he'd started as a mandate to save his job after the dealership fiasco had become something else entirely. He'd spent weeks at the Harper Fund, setting up job fairs, organizing therapy workshops, and listening to veterans' stories of struggle and triumph. The experience had cracked open his worldview, exposing the shallowness of his old assumptions. Ms. Harper, he said, his voice quieter than the brash tone she'd heard at the dealership. How's the evening going? Elena smiled, her eyes kind but perceptive. It's going beautifully, Marcus. How about you? How's the experience treating you? He hesitated, choosing his words with care. It's humbling, he admitted. I didn't get it before. What you do here, what it means. Seeing these people, their strength, it's changed how I see things. He glanced at a nearby table where a veteran, Alex, was sharing a laugh with his daughter. Alex was telling me about his therapy program. Said it saved his life. I've never been part of something like that. Elena nodded, noting the sincerity in his voice. Alex is a tough coach, isn't he? She said, referencing the veteran's blunt feedback during a setup session Marcus had helped with. Marcus chuckled, a genuine sound. Yeah, he told me my table arrangement was a logistical disaster. He's not wrong. The moment lightened, but Marcus's expression grew serious. Ms. Harper, I owe you more than the apology I gave at the dealership. I was wrong. About you, about everything. There's no excuse for how I acted. You're right, there isn't, Elena said, her tone firm but free of malice. But the real question is what you've learned. Marcus met her gaze, his usual defensiveness gone. That worth isn't about what's on the outside. Clothes, cars, titles. It's about who you are and how you treat people, especially when you think they're nobody. He paused, then added, and respect isn't something you wait to give until someone proves they deserve it. You start with it. Good lessons, Elena said, a small smile breaking through. Expensive ones, too. Marcus nodded, a rueful grin crossing his face. Worth every penny. Across the room, Sophia joined them, placing a gentle hand on Elena's shoulder. Marcus was just sharing his newfound wisdom, Elena said, her tone warm. Sophia raised an eyebrow, playful but appraising. I hear you've gotten pretty good at this event stuff. Alex says you're almost useful now. Marcus laughed, a sound free of his old bravado. High praise from him. I've also signed up to keep volunteering, past my required time, and I'm working with Mr. Grayson to overhaul how we handle customers at the dealership. No more judging by appearances. Sophia's expression softened, impressed. That's a start. Speaking of the dealership, we're still in the market for that corporate fleet I mentioned. 9 vehicles, maybe more. Javier says you've been mentoring him, thinks you'd be the right person to handle it. Marcus blinked, stunned by the opportunity. I'd be honored, Ms. Delgado, truly. Elena caught Sophia's eye, a shared understanding passing between them. This wasn't just about business. It was about giving Marcus a chance to prove his change was real. As the gala wound down, Marcus helped Alex back to his table after a speech, the veteran's daughter grinning up at him. You're not bad, Mr. Marcus, she said, her eyes bright. Marcus smiled, kneeling to her level. Coming from you, that's the best review I've gotten in a while. He meant it. Watching Elena and Sophia across the room, connecting with guests not as billionaires but as advocates, he saw clearly now what he'd missed before. A month ago, he'd judged Elena Harper by her hoodie and sneakers, dismissing her as insignificant. Now he understood. True value lay in actions, in heart, in the courage to lift others up. The lesson lingered as the night ended, the ballroom emptying under the soft glow of chandeliers. Marcus had learned that wealth wasn't measured by what you owned, but by how you treated those society overlooked. Elena's quiet strength had rewritten his rules, and he'd carry that forward, on the showroom floor, in the community, and beyond. The Dallas Meridian Hotel's ballroom grew quiet as the last guest departed, leaving behind the faint echo of laughter and the clink of glasses. The Harper Fund's gala had raised record funds for veteran reintegration programs, but its impact reached beyond the dollars. Elena Harper stood near the stage, her navy dress catching the soft light as she exchanged a final word with a therapist about next steps for the program. Sofia Delgado joined her, slipping an arm around her waist, their shared silence a testament to a night that had changed more than just their own perspective. Across the room, Marcus Vaughn helped stack chairs, his event staff polo slightly wrinkled from a long evening of work. The man who'd once judged worth by appearances now moved with a purpose rooted in something deeper. Marcus paused, catching sight of Elena and Sophia. The lesson he'd learned wasn't just about one misstep in a showroom. It was about a lifetime of assumptions he'd never questioned. Volunteering with the Harper Fund had shown him the strength of people he'd once overlooked. Like Alex, the veteran who'd taught him resilience wasn't about wealth or status, or Alex's daughter, whose grin had reminded him of the simple power of kindness. The gala had been a mirror, forcing him to confront his own biases and the systems that enabled them. As he carried a stack of chairs to the storage room, he vowed to carry that clarity forward, not just at Dallas Elite Motors, but in every interaction. Elena, watching Marcus from afar, turned to Sophia. Think he'll stick with it? She asked, her voice a mix of hope and pragmatism. Sophia tilted her head, considering. He's got a shot. People can change when they see what's at stake, but it's on him to keep showing up. Elena nodded, her thoughts drifting to Javier, who'd left the gala early to finalize the Inferno X1's paperwork, his pride in the responsibility evident. The young salesman's kindness had been a bright spot in the dealership's arrogance. And now, with Marcus mentoring him and a new bias training program in place, the showroom might become a place where everyone was seen for who they were, not what they wore. As the cleanup crew swept through, Elena and Sophia stepped out into the cool Dallas night, the city's skyline sparkling like a promise. The gala had been a triumph, but its real victory was in the ripples it created. Marcus's transformation, Javier's rise, and the countless veterans who'd find new hope through the funds raised. Elena's quiet strength had sparked a reckoning, proving that true power wasn't in flaunting wealth or status, but in lifting others up when no one else would. We all make snap judgments, don't we? A hoodie, a pair of sneakers, a face that doesn't fit, and suddenly we think we know someone's story. But as Marcus Vaughn discovered, looking beyond the surface can reveal extraordinary people and life-altering truths. Have you ever been misjudged because of how you looked, or caught yourself judging someone else too quickly? Drop your story in the comments. We'd love to hear it. Hit that subscribe button and join our community of story lovers, where every tale carries a lesson. Stay tuned for our next story, where another unexpected hero rewrites the rules. Because real worth, it's not what you see, it's what you do when you think no one's watching.